Welcome back, everybody. 3:06 p.m. Eastern Time, November 4th, 2017. I hope you were all having a good weekend. We got one more day to go, but for those of you that have some time on your hands, we have a couple things that you might enjoy watching outside, at least at night. We're going to get into that in a minute. First, we are looking at our radar, our widespread radar of the Caribbean, the Gulf, and the Atlantic Ocean. We do have one disturbance going on, which is more than likely going to be a non-issue. That is right where my mouse is here. We have a wave. You can actually see the shear playing with this system here, pushing it up already from our jet stream, and that is what the projection says. So whether this forms or not, chances are it's going to stay on this path, this long cone here. It's going to move north clearly while it's in the Atlantic Ocean, and then more than likely get pulled away by our jet stream, whether it dips or not. Now, the jet stream is also going to play a role in a couple other things going on. I'm going to bring you back to the radar to show that to you. We have two areas that not just myself, but weather stations are keeping an eye on, and one is obviously that disturbance we were talking about here, but also you can see these deep reds developing right under Cuba to the west of Jamaica. Now, if you guys remember in my last video, we talked about the possibility of Hurricane Rina, and that looked to be forming more south in the Caribbean here. Now, that's still not out of the question yet. If you remember towards the end of that video, we were watching the path of the CMC and the GFS showing that storm, and it showed it to come north almost parallel with Jamaica and then getting pushed a little to the east around this area. Now, we also said that because of the timing of how far out it is, it may come and go as far as being shown on the charts, which is kind of what's happening. But I'm going to show you on Tropical Tidbits that the GFS is beginning to recognize this as a lower low, but also staying more to of an eastern direction. So we are going to look at that, but there is something that might happen beforehand, and I want to show you a couple different charts that give this a little bit of evidence, if you want to call it that. Now, right here is current possibility chart, if you want to call it that. There's an actual name. It's the CURRTCFP. You can find this on a bunch of different websites. You can actually just type in those letters, and this chart will pop right up. Now, these are low percentages, but still worth showing you guys. But just look at the two spots. This is our disturbance we just showed. The 5-day, 30% over 5 days, and 10% over 48 hours. Again, more than likely will not be an issue to the U.S. It may do something up towards the U.K. and Ireland. But what I'm trying to show you here is that it's also recognizing a percentage of something possibly happening in the South Caribbean. And that's why I'm showing you this here, and this is what it looks to be, are these deep reds, these storms blowing up here. Now, if you notice right off the bat, as these storms are blowing up, you can see the momentum or shear winds blowing from west to east, which is a good thing, because if this does form, more than likely it will ride up more than likely to the west of Jamaica and then over Cuba and then into the Atlantic. But that's when it becomes a possible issue. I'm seeing a situation very similar to what we just dealt with Tropical Storm Philippe meeting up towards the northeast with another system coming from the jet stream from west to east on the U.S. Now, we're going to check that out really quick. All right, and here we are on Tropical Tidbits. Once again, we are with the CMC model. Let's center ourselves real quick. All right, and we are at the 6th right now. We'll go back to the 4th. Now, if you remember, just a quick recap, when we were talking about the potential for Hurricane or Tropical Storm Rina beginning to form down here, it formed as a low-pressure system. It moved up north, right parallel to Jamaica, and then it shifted again south and started heading east. Now, the same idea is happening here. It's just not showing up as a low pressure until later on in the dates, and I'm going to show you that now, and it gets pretty interesting here. Now, we're at the 8th, and the 9th and 10th is when we first started seeing that low pressure forming here. And believe it or not, it is there, even though it's not registering, except this time it skips the part where it goes up towards Jamaica, and it basically forms and comes right over, almost in between Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, and forms on the other side. So I'm going to back up here, follow this ring right here. I'm going to back up, and you can see the momentum actually comes from this area right here. You see that? How this line here extends out and then causes that low pressure? Right there, you can see it's connected. So this is the same system here. And then it breaks off and it's its own low system. And then watch what happens after this. Rides up, to the east of the Bahamas, well east of the Bahamas, but then becomes a pretty significant system right there. And if you notice, coming west to east is another low pressure system moving over the U.S. Now, a couple hours ago, this is the point I'm trying to tie everything into here. A couple hours ago, this system was not as strong, and it was farther, much farther out into the east, into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Now, a couple hours have passed, and now they're showing this thing even stronger, closer to the coast of the U.S. So basically the point here is that any little shift from now until these dates could potentially bring this thing much closer to the East Coast and actually combining once again, like we saw with Tropical Storm Philippe and that nor'easter type situation we had with the high winds going on all over the Northeast. And all we need to see really is a little bit of a shift, and we could be dealing with a very similar situation. You can see how close this is to the areas off Massachusetts, the most eastern tip of Long Island. So we're talking a few hundred miles, and this thing is right on top of this area here. So this is something new to watch. Again, I'm not positive yet if this is the exact same system we were reading with Rina. It very well may be. It looks like it is. It looks like it's part of that low system that was here and then moves up in between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and then forms as a low system. You see right there. There's our first sign of it. We have weather moving from west to east constantly with the jet stream. And then we move forward. This rides up the east coast, and it almost makes a little turn as it's forming. It seems to cover this area more and move closer to the east coast. And again, here's that system that's moving west to east. If I back it up, you can see it almost comes out of Mexico over Texas and then moves up towards the northeast, and then we're talking around the 13th or 14th, which is a little sooner than that 17th date we thought we were going to deal with Rina. But we could be looking at a nor'easter situation, and depending on the temperatures, guys, this could be a tropical rainmaker, or this could be a very significant snow system that we're going to be dealing with. So this is something new. We're going to be watching this very closely over the next couple of days, especially. And there you see it right there. They do interact with each other. You can see the lines of the low pressures combine. It's almost like a type of Fujiwara type effect. Okay, because you got the separate system here. That's one low pressure. Here's another low pressure. And then when they get close enough, those pressures share. And now we have one big, like, 8-looking shape here. So all we're talking about, once again, is a couple hundred miles of a shift, and this could be right over the northeast as a snowmaker or one of those heavy wind and rainmakers that we just dealt with. So that's where we're at now as far as the weather goes. I have a couple other things I want to show you guys for those of you that like to do the sky photography. We have a very interesting full moon that's actually coming out tonight for those of you that don't have cloud cover. And we have a meteor shower that we're actually going to be experiencing from basically tonight through Monday. So let's talk about that for 1 minute before I let you go. And really quick, actually, I forgot to mention this earlier, our typhoon that we were following that went right into Vietnam, guys. It was a dead hit. It was basically equal to a Category 2 hurricane if it was in the Atlantic Ocean or in the closer part of the Pacific Ocean where we call them hurricanes. Hurricanes and typhoons are basically the same exact thing, just different parts of the world give them different names. So this was a Category 2 storm that hit right into Vietnam, killing 19 people as of right now. So that was pretty significant. It was the most significant storm they've had since 2001. Just another indicator of this crazy season we've been having between typhoons and hurricanes and cyclones, guys, and it doesn't look to be quite over yet. But just for a little bit of better news, we have some cool stuff we can look at in the skies in the next couple days. One of them being a meteor shower, the Leonid, I believe it's pronounced, a Leonid meteor shower. This happens every November. And the reason we have this meteor shower, which is mostly viewable in the northern hemisphere, which is good for us, in the U.S. at least. Southern hemisphere can view this. They won't get as much of a show. But this is one of our brighter shows. We get some really cool meteors with this. Most of them the size of a tiny little pebble or a grain of sand, still making streaks like this, guys. That's how quickly and how fast these things burn up in the sky. It could be the size of a grain of sand that you see streak across the sky leaving a tail. This is a picture from 2009. I believe this is the picture I used in the thumbnail. So really cool for those of you that like to do the sky photography. I know I'll be out there looking I'm going to start tonight. I have a few things to do, but I should be able to get something on video for you guys to show you this. And the reason we get this meteor shower every year is because of a comet called Tempel-Tuttle. Now, this comet revolves around the sun every 33 years, it says right here, but we are constantly, every year, moving through the tail of it. So that's why we get the meteors. You can see right here, the Leonid meteor shower is caused by this comet. The first time the Leonid meteor shower was viewed was in 1699. This is when people didn't have TVs and all this other entertainment, so many more people then looking at the sky than now, which is very unfortunate, at least in my opinion. But that's where we have as far as this meteor shower goes. It should be pretty interesting. We should have some clear nights over the next couple days to see this. The peak of this shower, I believe, is on Monday. So again, for those of you that do the sky photography, this will be a really cool one to catch. And we also have tonight and tomorrow, we have a pretty cool full moon going on. There's a certain name for this. I'm going to pull that page up for you now. And this is actually called the full moon for November. It's called the Beaver Full Moon. As you can see with this beautiful picture of a beaver on the moon. Now, I've noticed some videos and a lot of comments with people saying that the moon looked absolutely huge the last couple days. Now, tonight and tomorrow night especially, for those of you with clear skies, we are going to have one bright, big moon. And this beaver moon, which happens, I believe, every November, at least the full moon of November, they call the beaver moon because of this reason, and it is considered a supermoon. It's just the way the atmospheric conditions are. It makes it look a lot bigger. Very cool to see. So this weekend alone, guys, we get a meteor shower, which is really cool. We have this beaver moon that we are also going to see, which is in part to why we are seeing this thing so big in the sky. I know I have a great view of the full moons for at least 9 months out of the year, and then it shifts over to some trees in my area. But both of these things I'll be filming and keeping a close eye on for you guys, so hopefully we can get some cool video out of this. And I think that is it for this video, guys. Sorry it took me so long. I've had a lot to do this weekend. I should have a little upload later on with some cool info on the meteor shower that I still believe is responsible for the California fires, as well as that New Hampshire fire that happened on October 4th. I'm going to show you this with evidence. I'm not pulling any of this stuff out of my hat. This is all based on human accounts from that area. So I'm going to get into that a little more when I have a little more time. But I hope this video was helpful, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And if any of you get pictures of this beaver full moon or the Leonid meteor shower, please let me know. I'll post them in a video. I want to start doing submission or submissions. That's a hard one to say. And then we'll go from there, guys. All right. Have a great night, and I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you very much.